Hello everyone, it's Jamal Thomas. Welcome to the Progressive Soapbox. So let me check my sound, the volume, and everything else and make sure everything is ticking along the way it's supposed to be. It is 9:32 in the a.m. on the East Coast. I hope everyone is doing okay this morning. It is an early morning. I've been up very early this morning. I didn't sleep at all last night. Okay, maybe that's an exaggeration. I think I went to bed at maybe I think I dozed off playing XCOM. There's a new version of XCOM. I love XCOM. I love it. Fighting aliens, protecting Earth. It's a fucking awesome game. But I doze off. I think I wake back up around 1, and I'm up for the rest of the night till 4 or 5 in the morning, 6 in the morning. I end up getting up at a certain point to help my wife in the morning, because she gets up at 5:30, and at that point I'm up. It's let's do the news. Let's do the news. Let's do what real men do early in the morning when they can't go to sleep and they haven't been to sleep all night. They do the news. So I'm here doing the news. I put up multiple vids and now I'm going to do this particular video. This video, I'm going to use an article from the Chicago Tribune. The article from the Chicago Tribune is extraordinarily well written, and it's very to the point. It's very specific. It's not even all that long, but it makes this amazing case in this clear, earnest way of there is a massive double standard that's taken place with regards to how we deal with the Clinton investigation and how we dealing with Trump. And not just that, if some of the stuff they're doing in the Clinton or the Trump investigation, if that applied to Clinton, and not just that, as you're reading through the article, he's kind of making this point. If we're going to look into this for Trump, by definition, if we're not being hypocritical and if we're not being hacks, and if we're not just doing this in order to go after the other person, if we're being fair and earnest in the way we're going about our political processes, then by definition, you have to also extend this open to Comey because Comey did X. And you have to extend this to Clinton herself because she did X. And they never really investigated this. And the article is amazing. The article is really good. So I am just going to read this article. It's from Chicago Tribune. The article is really well done. And let's flip to it. I've enlarged it so we can see it a little bit better. Commentary. The double standard of the Mueller investigation. Let's see. And by the way, he's right, by the way. He's absolutely right. It's difficult to come away from reading this and come to a different conclusion. He's right. I mean, yeah, you come to a different conclusion if you're somewhat of a hack. But I think some people hate Donald Trump so much that they don't necessarily care about the other stuff. It's not whataboutism to say, look, your political system seems to be treating one person differently than it seems to be treating the other person. Are we equal under the law or not? Or is it equal for some and not so much for others? That's what it seems like. That's the point that he's making. This is Victor David Hansen. The country is about to witness an investigatory train wreck. In one direction, Special Counsel Robert Mueller investigation train is looking for any conceivable thing that President Donald Trump's presidential campaign team might have done wrong in 2016. The oncoming train is slower, but also larger. It involves congressional investigations, Department of Justice referrals, and Inspector General's reports, most focused on improper or illegal FBI and Department of Justice behavior during the 2016 election. What are the two? Why are the two now about to collide? By charging former National Security Advisor Michael Flynn for lying to the FBI, Mueller emphasized that even the appearance of false testimony is felonious behavior. Listen to that. Isn't that amazing? Isn't that something you would hear out of one of those old Soviet films where Stalin was going after to get somebody in these show trials, and then the prosecutor comes out and says, even the appearance of felonious behavior is a problem. That's amazing. Let's keep going. I'm just saying that's mind-blowing revelation. That the appearance of false testimony is felonious. That's amazing. That's amazing. That's terrifying. That's terrifying. The land of the free. If that is so, then the Department of Justice will likely have to charge former Deputy Director Andrew McCabe with perjury or related offenses. A report from the Office of the Inspector General indicates that McCabe lied at least 4 times to federal investigators. Former FBI Director James Comey may also have lied to Congress when he testified he had not written his report on the Hillary email scandal before interviewing Clinton. Former Director of National Intelligence James Clapper and former CIA Director John Brennan lied under oath to Congress on matters related to surveillance. Clinton aides Cheryl Mills and Huma Abedin likely lied when told FBI investigators they had no idea that their then boss, Hillary Clinton, was using an illegal private email server. Both had communicated with Hillary Clinton about it. Mueller is said to be investigating whether Trump obstructed justice by requesting that Comey go easy on Flynn. If so, then the Department of Justice will have to look into Comey himself and the Department of Justice officials who obstructed the federal court. On at least 4 occasions, they were not honest about the deeply flawed Christopher Steele dossier being the source of the information used in the application to the Foreign Intelligence Services Court. Comey also said that he predicated the nature of the Clinton email investigation on his assumptions about her chances winning the presidency, another investigatory abuse. The Mueller team is reportedly still looking into the possibility of election cycle collusion with Russia by Trump officials. The track will require Mueller's Department of Justice counterparts to look carefully at the Clinton campaign, which paid opposition researcher Steele, a British subject, for dirt on Trump that was produced through the collusion with Russian sources. He's making somewhat of a subtle point here, but it's a true point that we never really pay attention to. We're saying that Trump colluded with Russian officials. Okay, the reason that this is supposed to be bad is because they're supposed to be a foreign actor, and you're supposed to have foreign actors instigating themselves in our elections. It is well known and easily established that the Clinton campaign worked with Christopher Steele, a British citizen. Called him a subject. Subject is a weird name to call it. But nevertheless, a British citizen. Why is it okay to work with a Brit to fuck it in our election system, but it's not okay to work with a Russian? There's no evidence that Trump colluded with Russia. This is something they made up. This is hooey at this point. But the British thing is real. No one ever really pays attention to that. They just kind of sidesteps that. Christopher Steele, forgetting the fact that Christopher Steele is a British citizen. Let's keep going. Mueller is also said to be investigating whether Trump or his advisor broke laws concerning the release of confidential governmental information. If so, the Department of Justice may have to indict Comey. He confessed to passing along confidential FBI memos to a friend for expressed purpose of leaking their contents to the press. That's amazing. High-ranking Obama administration officials may also be subject to indictments, given that they have requested the unmasking of American citizens whose communications were intercepted during the surveillance of foreign parties and then leaked the names of those citizens to the press. Mueller's team apparently has assumed that Michael Cohen's status as Trump's personal attorney offers no protection under normal attorney-client privilege protocols. If that is true, the Department of Justice will have to investigate why the FBI allowed Clinton aide Mills to pose as Clinton's attorney, thereby being shielded from providing testimony on what she knew about the email scandal involving her quote-unquote client. Investigators have swarmed Cohen's offices and residence, supposedly in fear that he might destroy pertinent records. The FBI should probably reopen the investigation into the Clinton email scandal, given that Clinton destroyed more than 30,000 emails, as well as computer hard drives that were requested by federal investigators. What's going on? Mueller has searched far and wide for wrongdoing, but so far has found little. Meanwhile, there is plenty of other wrongdoing already found, but no one seems to be looking at it. Flynn, Cohen, and other Trump aides are considered small enough fry to go after. Clinton, Comey, McCabe, and others seems big enough fries to leave alone. No one thought Hillary Clinton would blow the election. Top Obama officials at the FBI, Department of Justice, intelligence agencies, and National Security Council believed in 2015 to 2016 that they could ignore laws with impunity since a protective Clinton administration would soon be in power. Politics have infected these institutions, or these investigations. Trump was seen as a threat to the status quo, and the FBI and Department of Justice lawbreakers were seen as custodians of it. The more Mueller searches for hypothetical lawbreaking, the more he is inadvertently underscoring that actual lawbreakers must be subjected to the same standard of justice. Ironically, Mueller's investigation has reminded America that it is past time to call Comey, McCabe, and a host of Obama-era Department of Justice and FBI officials to account. For over a year, we have had two standards of legality, when there can be only one. A reckoning is near. Tribune content agency. Richter Davis Hanson is a classicist and a historian of the Hoover Institute at Stanford University. I don't know the guy's politics overall. What I would say is I agreed with everything that he said in that particular document. What if they would have pieced out or ripped apart Hillary Clinton's Clinton Foundation in this way? What if they would have ripped apart Clinton, the email scandal in itself in this way? The way, in fact, there's a video. Sean Hannity is loathsome. So is Giuliani. But there was a video that Sean Hannity, as gross as he is, explained. Yeah, he's too gross. Sean is too gross. He makes my skin crawl, if I'm being honest. But my point is, they're giving these two tiers. It's like you have this one tier for Hillary Clinton, and this other tier for other people. And it's like, but wait a minute, you let her get away with all of these things, and now you're saying that all of these things all of a sudden matter for one person, but they don't necessarily matter for the other person. That looks insane. It looks like you have two standards of justice, because let's be honest, they have two standards of justice. Great article. Chicago Tribune. I will put it at the bottom for you guys to see it for yourself. Pet hacker. I'll dance in the streets if that reckoning ever happens. I don't know if I'm dancing in the streets, but I feel you. I'm of the disposition that woman should be in prison. And it's not because I love putting people in prison. And if I'm being honest, I tend to trend away from this whole locking people up stuff and everything else. But my reasoning for this is they cheated. They outright cheated. They completely took down the electoral process in order to try to get her into that office. And right now we have Donald Trump as president of the United States, in no large part because of what the Democratic Party did in that primaries. Now, they've made a big fuss and a big ruckus, even going so far as to put a lawsuit on WikiLeaks and Russia. They're nonsense. All of this is nonsense. The conversation that has taken place over the last 2 years is a direct result of the way she ran her campaign. And for that matter, the Democratic Party as a whole. Screaming Russia at the top of their lungs is a way to attack Trump. Screaming Russia at the top of their lungs is a way to obfuscate from their own failures. Never wanting to have this come to Jesus moment. None of that stuff. All of this stuff had everything to do with attacking Trump. And the question only really goes, how far up does this go? The way I see it is, Comey let that woman off. That woman was guilty of sin, and Comey let that woman off. If Comey let her off, and Comey got up there and lied to the American public, I have to ask the question, why did Comey lie to the American public? Or was that indication of guilt of something? Because if you look at the code itself that Comey was talking about, that when he was given that famous, shameful act of, there's no reasonable prosecutor, when there's a person who was sitting in prison for the exact same thing, prosecuted like a year prior. I have to ask, why is Comey lying like this? Is he lying because he let that woman off? Is he lying because he really didn't do an investigation when he said he did an investigation? Is he lying in the same way that he lied to Congress when he told Congress that, yes, we've interviewed these witnesses, and you find out that Comey never interviewed the witnesses, or at the very least had written up what he was going to do before he even interviewed the witnesses? It was a show trial. It was nonsense. And that's what the author is making point of. It was nonsense. Damn, he has a photo of the lady up. Our reporter should start blurring her face. Oh, that's funny. That's funny. X Factor 541. It would be amazing if we could get Rand Paul or someone with a half a brain to take over Republicans after Trump leaves. You know what's wild about that? When I first started writing, I wrote an article that Ron Paul was the new face of the Republican Party. And the reason I said that, I was making this point of, if you're looking for somebody who at the very least believes in something, I may disagree with half of it, but at the very least there's a philosophical viewpoint there, and there's something where you can push against it, and everything else. It's not just this rapacious greed and everything else. There's something there. I think it's nonsense, but it's something there. And at the very least, half of that you can agree with them on. Like part of it is, hey, let's not kill other people in other countries. Agreed. Shake hands. Let's set the boundaries of our debates in this way. That's not what you have. You have two parties that for all intents and purposes agree with one another. it's very few things where they disagree on, even though they blow those little things up to mean like as if they were great big things. Monetary policy, military policy. You're not going to get anybody to go against Wall Street. You're not going to get anyone to go against the military. You're not even really going to go get anyone per se. Like, I guess what I'm saying is things that you care about. People call the stuff freedom. It's not really freedom if you're working 50 hours a week. Nor is it freedom if you're constantly vulnerable to any little upheaval that takes place in your society. The idea that you could be in the richest country on the planet with someone walking around with $100 billion and you still have a homelessness problem in California is obscene. That's obscene. That is a thing of failure. That's what that is. That is your policymakers, your politicians lying to you. That's your media lying to you. That's them not necessarily either giving you the information that you need to make certain decisions on who you want to put in that office, or obfuscating the real information that needs to be said. So instead of getting across, hey, there's lead in the water in Chicago. Those kids are literally drinking lead-infested water in Chicago. Hey, there's still lead in Flint, Michigan after years and years of talking about this nonsense. And media ticks along. Russia and Trump. Russia and Trump. Russia and Trump. Never proving it. Always going after it. There are real concerns that people have in this country. That's my point. And those concerns are getting ignored. And not just real concerns. And not just getting ignored. Nonsense is pushed up as the news. Or even when you get news, the perspective is so fucked up. So it's like, if you hear something about military action, they're pushing us closer to war. Now, that's a big fucking deal. The idea that somebody's kid or nephew or uncle, and even if you don't have kids, and you think it from the perspective of somewhere else, somebody else's kid and mom and uncle and brother and sister are going to get destroyed and killed by the people of this country, leveraging the bravery of the people of the country who decided to go into the military for whatever reasons you may want to think they decided to go into the military, and that bravery is being leveraged to kill and murder and hurt other people. Yeah, our media sucks. Our media sucks. And if corruption gets put on the ballot, and corruption is one of those things, and Hillary Clinton has to take a hit for that, then Hillary Clinton takes a hit for that. I have no issue with that at all. Don't get me wrong. If you want to go after all of them, have at it. Have a field day. Have a red wedding from the standpoint of a corruption trial, going after all of these people who are corrupt actors in the process. Don't stop at the way you're going with Clinton. Go after bribery. Go after Bush. Go after all of them. Go after all of them. I'm with Abby Martin. I think Obama is a war criminal. But I think Bush and Trump are also war criminals. At this point, they've been going in the countries and bombing and killing and massacring. And you would think the media would have something to say about this, but the media is mum. We get pissed off, left, and I'm going to end it on this. We get pissed off, the lefties, at the public sometimes, saying, why don't you see this? Why don't you care about this? What the fuck is wrong with you? But when you think about it, for the most part, those people are decent working people, living a life, working kind of on a hamster wheel, and they don't look up. They don't have time to look up. They have a kid, they have a wife, they have a husband, they have all of these things and concerns that they need to take care of. And the news and the media, for the most part, is just giving them nonsense. That's what they're functioning on. That's what they're functioning on. They're just decent people trying to live their life, and they're inundated with nonsense. What does a society look like if you gave a society an actual disposition of, hey, here are voices that are not for war. Here are voices that are not necessarily in the pocket of corporate America. Here are voices that are actually looking out for workers in the American public. What happens when those voices are competing with the voices that are not? I suspect that the American public will be able to discern these guys seem to mean it, these other guys seem not to be. And I suspect that's why the people are dying off that are looking at mainstream media. That's my strong suspicion. Let's see. Balthazar, Ferris Bueller's Day Off, Debbie goes ballots. Debbie does ballots. Ballots, I love that. Oh, somebody's not going to get that joke, Balthazar. Debbie does Dallas. It's an old porn thing, if I'm not mistaken. Joshua Renshaw. Semi-related, and I don't mean to tell you how to spend your money, but you could use this download, The War of Mine, It is a strategy war game, not like Civ though, but it is mind-blowing. Look at the consequences of war. This War of Mine. I will check that out. Wait a minute. I think I know what that is. Oh, dude, you're going to have me geek out. Fuck it. I'm going full geek mode. I think I know what you're talking about. So there's a video game channel that I like to watch. It's funny. I have like 2 Xbox games. That's all I have. And yet I like to watch video games channels. I like to watch comic book channels, even though I don't buy comic books. I can tell you pretty much anything you want to know about comic books, even though I don't read them, per se. But I like that stuff. So one of the things, I think what it is, I like the themes. I like the things the situations that people end up in, because it allows you to think about life in a different way. Even if it's something as trivial as a comic book, some of the themes are fucking epic that they deal with. But this War of Mine came up in one of the books, or in one of the things. And if I'm not mistaken, it's consequences of war, and it's putting you in these situations where you need to kind of deal with these consequences. Like, so example, it's one of the questions I've asked my mom. My mom is the nicest person on the planet. And I think I've said before, I'd kill 1 million people in order to save my mom, which is kind of fucked up, but it's probably true. In this particular case, the guy made this point of, I asked her, I said, look, if you were a used car salesman, and the family came in, and you knew that car was a lemon, you knew 100% that car was a lemon, you knew in 30 days that car was going to conk out, but you had a wife to feed, or you had a baby to feed, you have responsibilities that you need to take care of, would you sell them that lemon? And my mom bitched and moaned and said, well, listen, but at the end of the day, the answer was yes. If you're putting in this situation, you're going to do what you have to do because you have a family, you have responsibilities. It's a person, it's a human thing to do. This War of Mine, if I'm not mistaken, puts you in similar situations. Like, yeah, I haven't played the game, so I can't necessarily talk about it. But the skit and the scenes of that I've seen, oh, it's brutal. It's brutal. The guy who was even talking about it was talking about the brutal situations. The entire clip was in the context of video games that made you do horrendous, horrible things. Fucking A, man. Joshua Renshaw, I should give you super chat for that one. That's an awesome one. Yes, that's an awesome one. Awesome one. All right, let's see. All right, yeah, I'm not going to keep this one for too long. Guys, thank you very much. I have a bunch of them that I want to do today. That's the only reason. I don't know if I'm going to be in and out for the day, but I'm probably knowing me. So, it's called This War of Mine. This War of Mine. Yeah, I'm going to probably get that game. I saw a skit of that game, and it looked terrifying. It was like somebody in a bunker or something, and having to make the choice and steal somebody else's food who you know is going to go hungry. Oh, man. Oh, that's so brutal. That's so brutal. So, yes, I'm going to look at This War of Mine. Look, people act like war is a video game. And I don't know if that's because America doesn't have experience of being bombed. I don't know if it's not in our consciousness of us being attacked in some dramatic way. Understand 9/11, but understand that we've committed 9/11s daily. Like, and maybe that's too extreme in the sense of standpoint of we're not taking down towers, but we've been drone bombing all across the world. I mean, it's fucking insane for us to. All I'm saying is we don't have the experiences of having our buildings taken down day after day after day after day after day by a foreign adversary that's constant and over the top, and the world stands by and doesn't do anything about it. Our experience has been from the standpoint of the bully, or the standpoint of the person who would punch somebody in the nose in a heartbeat and not care about the consequences at all, with the American public eating their Cheerios and playing their Xbox and not giving two shits about what's taking place. That's our experience. So because that's within our experience, we have these armchairs who sit there and talk about and pontificate about war that's never been in a fucking war. It's like it amazes me that they do this stuff, and the media listen to these guys talk about killing other human beings, pure in pontification. I do declare, I think blah, 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 blah. That asshole John Bolton is now talking about a Libya model for North Korea. Do you know North and South Korea are talking about trying to make some kind of peace? It wasn't Donald Trump. It had everything to do with China. It had nothing or little to do with Donald Trump. It was China pressuring North Korea to do that, and China pulling resources from North Korea, essentially pulling the rug from under them. It's possible that they may try to reconcile. John Bolton's response to that was, we need to have the Libya model. We need to essentially get them to get rid of their nukes, then topple that particular government. That man is a fucking maniac. This is kind of what I'm talking about. Those people who've never been at war and yet like to pontificate about killing and murdering other human beings. And then those people taken by the news as being serious and legit and earnest people and all this other stuff. Those people are monsters. They should be treated as such. So I'm going to end this here. This war of mine, I'm going to check that out. Joshua, thank you very much for giving me the heads up, because I'm going to really, that's fucking awesome. Bill O'Reilly, I became a monthly patron. You're my fave. Thank you, Bill O'Reilly. Billo. Keith Olbermann is on the outs right now. He's pissed me off royally after coming out for George Bush. And repudiating like 4 years of his content. But some of the funniest shit that you would ever see on the web, if you ever wanted to look and just have nothing else to do with your time and just looking at the web. Look at Keith Olbermann go after Bill O'Reilly. It is some of the funniest shit you would ever see on television. I've never seen a host turn his show into an attack thing. And he would go after O'Reilly over and over and over and over again. He would go after Lou Dobbs over and over and over again. And it is some of the funniest shit you would ever see in your life. It got to the point where O'Reilly stopped even calling Keith Olbermann's name. He just wouldn't even mention him. And Olbermann would just get on his show each night and just bam, 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 just hitting him over and over again. Even when O'Reilly stopped, Olbermann kept hitting him over and over again. It is brutal and funny like nobody's business. It is the funniest shit ever. When you find out that O'Reilly was touching women, then it makes it a little bit easier to watch. But it was funny. But thank you, Billo. I appreciate it, man. I honestly, both, all of you, I appreciate it. Thank you very much. You guys will see me probably in 20 minutes or so. Maybe. I'm doing videos during the day. I have something that I need to do this evening, so I'm trying to get these out the way early. But yeah, you more likely than not, you'll see me. So, all right, guys. At the very least, you'll see me this evening. So, have a good one, guys. And by the way, thank you all for showing up. All patrons and everyone else, thank you very much. And for all of you that like the content, please like, share, subscribe, and of course, you can always support through Patreon. Thanks, everyone.